Hey guys, today's video is about Dasaita, and this isn't your usual flagship high-end Android head unit. This one represents an evolution of the Android head units with the implementation of HDMI. Let's have a look. So first things first, Dasaita, massive brand of Android-based head units. You should know about them. It is a trusted brand. They make head units for specific vehicles, and they also make head units for universal implementation as well. It's in my top 5 head unit brands, so it is a true quality brand. So what did I mean by the evolution of technology in Android head units with this head unit? Well, basically every Android head unit has lots of features, some of which people will never use. One of them is the ability to output video to a composite video connector, one of these, okay? The idea behind the video outs is so that you could send video to some monitors that you might have on the rear headrests of your car. The thing is, they use composite video. Now, composite video has been a dead technology for a very long time. When was the last time you saw a DVD player or a skybox or anything that actually had the yellow, white and red connectors that you used to have? I think the last thing I knew that had these connectors was a Nintendo Wii, which is way over 10 years old. Everything for the last 10 years has been using HDMI. Except for Android head units. Now I know there's licensing issues around the use of HDMI, which is probably why they haven't been implementing it, but the fact of the matter is, it's today's technology. Composite video is dead. HDMI is here. So the reason why I say that this head unit represents the evolution of Android head units is because it actually does have a HDMI port, and it's the first time out for all of these head units that I have seen an Android head unit which has HDMI. So bravo Dasaita, that is awesome. Now whether or not of course you use that is an entirely different story, but the fact that it's got it is great. Now I went for one that would be a reasonable size to put in the Saab 9.3, so this one's a 10.2 inch screen. It's based on the PX6 architecture, and it has 4 GB of RAM, it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and all the good stuff. They do actually market these in direct competition with the big boys like Pioneer and Alpine, etc. So you'll see that very quickly when I get it out of the box, which I'm going to do now. But before I do, please remember that I do not get paid to endorse any company or products, including this Dasaita, and my review is going to be completely based on my own opinion when setting up and using it. Right, let's do it now. And here it is. Now, the Dasaita universal head units tend to come in 2 separate parts. So you get the main screen itself, which comes with this very heavy metal bracket on the back side here, and then you get the main box itself, the doubled-in box itself. So we'll look at the screen first of all, and as you can see, it is a very, very nice design. It's not something that is shared between lots of Android head unit brands. Dasaita have designed their own screen, has these capacitive touch buttons all the way along the bottom. So you've got the choice of volume, next backtrack, and a bunch of other buttons as well. I actually really like this design. Obviously, it's quite large in comparison to the other head units, but having these buttons on the bottom so that you don't actually have to have them on the screen of the Android device is actually a very, very good idea. And then if we have a look at the back, you can see it has this bracket which allows it to be tilted left, right, up, down, and also you can move this bracket up and down this unit so that you can have it the correct height for your car. If we have a look at the actual doubled-in unit, you can see that on the front of it, it doesn't really have anything except for that bracket connection. Now, I will just say that you may think because it comes as 2 parts, that means detachable screen. It's obviously detachable because the screen hasn't been added yet. But It's a heavy duty screen and it's a heavy duty bracket. There's 4 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, that actually holds the screen to this unit. So after you've screwed it up, obviously it's not going to be detachable unless you remove those screws. So it's not something where you can, you know, pop the screen off every time you go to the shops. Once it's on, it's on. But the plus side of that as well is that it'll make it difficult to steal. And on the back, we have the main loom entry point, a GPS antenna, a Wi-Fi antenna, the FM antenna, a bunch of connectors which we'll go into later, and a HDMI port. Ooh, HDMI. I will be testing that because that is a cool thing to have. And again, really great that Dasaita have decided to put a HDMI port on here. Just with regards to HDMI, there is 2 different types of HDMI that could come with these Android head units. One HDMI in, which would be awesome because it would mean that you could connect a games console or something and use the screen of the head unit for that. That's not what this is for. This is a HDMI out, and it's to run to screens that you might have on the back, or a large TV that you might have in a camper van or something. So I will be testing that and making sure that it does output video. But I love this Dasaita, and I've been waiting a very long time to see a HDMI port on an Android head unit, so well done. So also in the box we have the user manual, 3 USB ports, a GPS antenna, an external microphone, a mini Wi-Fi antenna, some brackets, the screws to hold on the screen, analog video in that you get with every Chinese Android head unit, and the reverse camera input, a loom which has pre-outs. Now there's 6 pre-outs here. You've got front left, front right, rear left, rear right, and 2 separate subwoofers. So that's pretty cool, and I know that Dasaita actually are probably the only company which give you 2 separate subwoofer outputs. And then you have a front camera input here as well. And then we have the ISO connection for the Saab to make it nice and easy to install. Now I did order a couple of other things from Dasaita which were not included with this head unit. I have a tyre pressure monitoring system which I'm going to set up in the Saab, which is going to be cool. And I have the Dasaita HD reverse camera which I'm going to be installing as well. Now don't forget these are separate. I'll put links in the video description as to where you can buy them. Right, time to install it in the car and see how good it is. And here it is, installed in my Saab 9 III. And the obvious thing, first of all, is the fact that it is one of the tiltable screens. So if I maneuver it around, you can see I can move it left and right, and I can move it up and down. So that big, heavy metal arm mount is doing its job. So I can have the screen aimed towards me, tilted up, and facing me, the driver. And that's always a very, very nice touch. And obviously the caveat to that is it does come away from the dashboard quite a lot on the other side, but if you're the driver that shouldn't really bother you. So we will start, as we always do, with the look and feel of the device. It does actually look really, really nice indeed. I mean, it's a Dasaita unit, so you know it would be. It's gloss black with the chrome trim around the edges, which is very, very nice, and they're one of a kind row of buttons along the bottom which each have their own green LED, which is obviously programmable to whatever color you want for your particular car. The screen itself is a 10-inch 720p resolution, which is great for this size of screen, and it is very, very sharp indeed. I will say that it's not particularly bright, and its contrast ratio isn't amazing. It's not a really vivid screen, but it is colorful, it is sharp, and it is a nice screen. Now if we look at the launcher that they've given you, which is on the screen at the moment, it's the Vivid launcher. It is actually one of my personal favorite launchers, and it's a launcher that I like to put on other branded Android head units because it is a very beautiful launcher to have. So you have your media on the right hand side and your map on the left hand side, very much like how Apple CarPlay is set out. On the media side of things, you can see that it's currently connected to my Spotify, but if I tap this here, I can play local music, or I can have the radio coming up here, or I can control Bluetooth music coming from here as well. If I installed Netflix, Netflix would also come up on there. If you have DAB, that will also come up on here. It's actually quite interesting how many things this launcher is compatible with. So that's the right hand side of the screen. And on the left side of the screen, we have the map. If I do drag this up a little bit, it will give you the time and date, it gives you weather information here, and then it says Android widgets, and if we open this, you will see that it actually gives you the ability to add your selection of specific widgets that you might want to have. So that's just one of the newer features of the Vivid launcher. Along the bottom, we have the home button. We have this button here, which is to access all of the apps that are currently installed on the device. And then you have a bunch of icons which are settable by yourself. So you can add and remove any of these icons. So for example, if I didn't want the Vivid Launcher Settings app on here, I can click on it, go unpin app, and then I can go into my apps, and I can just choose an app. So I'm going to choose Z-Link. So I'm going to push and hold it, pin app, and now it's down the bottom there. So these are all your most used apps down the bottom. This is one of the reasons why I really like this launcher, because it gives you control over your music and it gives you access to any of the other apps that you might want to use, which is fabulous. Now if we have a look at the settings, we can see that they've kept the kind of generic look to how the menu systems are. No love has really gone into this area to actually improve the user interface, unfortunately. But that's fine, because the options are very, very self-explanatory. It's easy to find anything that you might want to do, and that's fine. So let's talk about speed. This head unit is based on the Rockchip PX6, which is a pretty decent CPU for a mobile unit like this, and it also has 4 GB of RAM. It should be plenty fast with those specifications, but we're going to run a test now using the usual everyday apps that we use for these tests, Spotify and Waze, and see how long they take to boot up. So let's start with Spotify. Yeah, so not bad. So it took a few seconds to get there, but that was pretty fast. So let's have a look at Waze. Yeah, not bad. So it's still pretty quick. It's obviously not the fastest head unit I've ever tested, but it's fast enough for everyday use, and that's all that you really need for these types of units. So that's really, really good. So let's talk about vehicle integration. Things that I like to look at when I'm dealing with these types of head units is how well it integrates into the car with regards to fitting, steering wheel controls, whether or not I can change the logo on startup, and whether or not I can change the lighting of the head unit as well, because I like to make it look as if it's meant to be in the car. Now from a fitting perspective, this was a standard double-din unit, and it literally just slid straight into the cage. This actually slid straight into the other fitting system that I had for the Saab 9-3 as well, which is made for the branded double-din units, because it literally just slid straight in and I just screwed it in place. So it was actually very, very easy to fit this head unit because it's using standard sizes, which is great. Obviously you also have the movable mount, which is going to make it very useful for a lot of situations and a lot of different types of cars, because you can always tilt the screen towards the driver or in any direction that you want. From a steering wheel perspective, yes, it does actually work with my steering wheel, and that was very, very easy for me to set up. All we do is we go into the settings, we scroll down to where it says car, and then we go to steering wheel keys. And then it's a simple matter of pressing a button on the steering wheel and then pressing a concurrent button on the screen, and then it will save all of those for you. Very, very easy indeed. The lights on the capacitive touch buttons on the bottom can be changed colors by going to element, and then you can choose to change these colors to anything you want. Obviously this is a Saab with green interior, so we're going to have green LEDs. And you would have seen that when I first switched this unit on, it did show the Saab logo, so it does have that functionality as well. So what we do is we go down to factory settings. The password is 126, and then we go to car logo, and this is where you're going to find all the different types of car logos, and obviously this is a Saab, so Saab is there as well, so nice and easy. Now, it is worth mentioning that Dasaita is compatible with advanced CAN bus decoding, and that means that if I wasn't in an old car like this, if I was in my Saab 9.5 new generation, the Dasaita has the ability to connect with the car's CAN bus network. That means it can read the reverse sensors, it can tell if the doors are open, it can control the climate controls, and of course it can use the steering wheel buttons. All of that stuff can be done on this Dasaita unit because it has advanced CAN bus decoding with the relevant adapter for whatever car that you're putting it in. So let's talk about features. It's an Android head unit, so you're going to get stuff by default. So you're going to get Netflix and YouTube and video apps all compatible with this unit, which is awesome. Then you're going to have other things like the ability to connect the DAB stick and get DAB radio onto it. You can have reverse camera on it. It will take a front camera as well. And then there's some other accessories that you can buy through Dasaita. And in fact, I did order their TPMS tire pressure monitoring system, which I can show you now. So I just hit this button here and you can see the pressures of all 4 tires. And that was basically plug and play. You just screw the caps onto each of the valves on the tires and plug something into the back of this head unit, and it will read all of your tires. So that is awesome as well. But built into it, it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So we're going to try that now. I've got my trusty iPhone here. I'm going to hit CarKit. I assume the pin is 0000. Pair. There we go, it's connected. Now I will open the Z-Link app. So it's connecting. It's detected that it's an Apple. Use CarPlay. Yep, let's use CarPlay. And there we go, we got Apple CarPlay on the big screen, and I can access all of my apps from here, nice and easy, and it does actually look really, really nice indeed. So yeah, very, very happy with that. And that's just by connecting it via Bluetooth and going to the Z-Link app. Now it does do Android Auto as well, but that is only via a USB connection direct. It doesn't actually do wireless Android Auto, I'm afraid. Right, so I'm sitting in the back of the car because I wanted to test this HDMI connection that was on the back of the Dasaita head unit. And guess what? It does actually work. All I've got is a portable HD 1080p monitor that I generally use for my recording. And I have my Dasaita head unit basically playing a little bit of Rick and Morty. That Rick and Morty is also being displayed on the screen below. And the interesting thing about this is that the HDMI is sending the audio part of it as well, which effectively means that the Dasaita has a digital audio out. And that means I need to explore that a little bit more later, not in this video, but it will be interesting to see what output from an audio perspective that HDMI port actually has. But yes, the HDMI port works absolutely perfectly well, and yeah, that's amazing, and that's what I've been waiting for so long, for an Android head unit to actually have something from the 21st century, and a HDMI port has finally been put on. Well done, Dasaita. Right, moving on to the main event, the sound quality and control. Well, the Dasaita has DSP, digital signal processing, which means it will give you a significant amount of control over the audio sound within the vehicle. So I'll show you that now. If we go into apps, we go into amplifier, you will see that it has a 15-band graphic equalizer, and you can modify this to your heart's content. You can either manually do it, or you can use the presets that they've given you down here at the bottom. And then if we have a look over here on the left, you have loudness control, fat, frequency cutoff, bass frequency cutoff, and the sub control over here. And then down here we have the fade and balance. However, there is a button that says speciality, and that will allow you to individually control the volume of each of these speakers so that you can make it sound exactly as you want it to, including setting the distance and the height of the speakers as well. And to be honest, in this car it does actually sound really good, as you would imagine, because you can manipulate the sound to exactly as you want it. DSP is such a big thing these days, and it's great to see that Dasaita has included it within this head unit as well. Right, let's give it some scores. Right, let's give it some scores. hope this video was useful for you. If I missed anything, please do use the comment section below to ask, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. And if there's any particular head unit that you would like me to review because you're questioning, please let me know and I will see if I can get one and do a review for you. I do a lot of reviews on Android head units, so please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.